Hoffman's doing is he's taking that same ability of the Amplituhedron, but doing it with conscious agents. So he's built a mathematical formula for conscious agents. It's mapped out in an Amplituhedron and then can show in space-time how those conscious agents will function, how they create reality. So like the Amplituhedron, which we'll talk about, which is this geometric shape outside of space-time, which has predictive capabilities into space-time. That thing is brand new.
So are these like machine learning models that they're building essentially here?
Some of them can be, yes.
And like sort of continuous improvement models that like are ingesting data
Information
from where?
Yeah. So they're using quantum computing in a lot of this. But what's interesting is like when we get into the decorative permutations and Amplituhedron portion of the mathematical, theorem for conscious agents, these actually highly simplify predictive measures in space-time. So like to give you an example, the Large Hadron Collider, you know what that is? It's this massive hadron collider that they built somewhere in Europe. I can't even remember. But what it has the ability to do is to accelerate particles to insane speeds, and then it collides them. And then they measure what happens when those particles collide. And it's like these high energy states where these particles are hitting at just astronomical speeds. And then it's creating these wild phenomena that we've never been able to, see, because we haven't been able to observe and monitor particles colliding at such massive energy levels. But in order for them to do the calculations around these particle collisions, you have mathematical calculations that are in the millions of permutations. Okay, so you're talking about they're called Feynman diagrams, is how they map like particle scattering in space-time. So they have these Feynman diagrams that are super complex, where it's millions of layers on top of each other, or millions of mathematical permutations of layers on top of each other, in order to accurately predict how these particles are going to act when they collide at these massive energy levels. Well, the Amplituhedron, this geometric shape outside of space and time, has predictive capabilities where it can take 1 million permutation mathematical computation of particle scattering and do it in a single permutation. Or maybe three permutations instead of 1 million. And the reason it becomes so difficult on this side is because they're functioning in space-time. The Amplituhedron is functioning outside of space-time. And what it's showing is that this is more fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
And it has high predictive capabilities into space-time based on its geometric shape, which is wild to think about. So it goes from conscious agent interaction to the description of that mathematically is called decorative permutations or decorated permutations, okay? They're mathematical objects that extend traditional permutations by adding additional attributes or markings to each element, enhancing their ability to model complex systems with extra layers of information. In Hoffman's work, the concept of decorated permutations is used to help conceptualize how conscious agents, fundamental entities in his theory of consciousness, interact and create the fabric of perceived reality. Decorated permutations in this theoretical framework are not used in the conventional mathematical sense, but rather as a tool to illustrate complex interactions between these conscious agents and the emergence of reality as we perceive it. Okay, so modeling interactions. In Hoffman's theory, conscious agents interact with each other according to specific rules or protocols. These interactions can be thought of as permutations of the states of experiences, where decorations on these permutations could represent additional properties or qualities of these interactions, such as emotional or cognitive states. Okay? Decorated permutations in this context serve as a mathematical model to describe the vast and complex network of these interactions, capturing both the structural permutation and the qualitative aspects. So like the being and then the characteristics of the being. Okay. Permutation, decorations.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's able to take the being and all of its attributes and model them out mathematically against each other. Okay. They're called decorative permutations, which is like cutting edge physics. Okay. Then what the decorative permutation does is it maps to what's called an amplituhedron. Okay. So Hoffman's integration of concepts like amplituhedron with conscious agents suggests a geometric or topological representation of these interactions. Here, decorative permutations could theoretically help map out individual interactions. Okay. Scale up to form higher dimensional structures like the amplituhedron, which in his theory could correspond to larger scale conscious experiences or shared realities. The amplituhedron itself in theoretical physics is used to simplify calculations of particle interactions in quantum field theory. By analogy, in Hoffman's work, it could symbolize how complex interactions of conscious agents simplify into a coherent structure that performs our perceived reality. Okay, so do you get what they're saying here? So the amplituhedron in, say, quantum physics has the ability to take mathematical theories of, say, particle scattering, project it into space-time and let you know how that's going to act, right? What particle scattering is going to take place and how in space-time. What Hoffman's doing is he's taking that same ability of the amplituhedron, but doing it with conscious agents. So he's built a mathematical formula for conscious agents. It's mapped out in an amplituhedron and then can show in space-time how those conscious agents will function, how they create reality.